I want to throw something else out there now and circle it back to Liverpool, though. I wanted to say nice things. I didn't want us all to be negative and whatever. We know the mitigating circumstances with Liverpool because Klopp's told us. We can all count the number of players who aren't there. I'm just wondering now of the knock-on effect. That question, which probably should have been asked, what the heck happens if you don't finish top four?
Yeah.
Because this is a team, this is a club that, aren't cash rich, right? Yeah. They've got big profit. We've explained this. I've written about it. Right? They're two different things, and they've already pushed the boat out to sign Diogo Jota. Right? Yeah. They did this over the summer, and
they still owe 35 million to Wolves
and Thiago Alcantara as well. Yeah. These are big financial commitments. The Wijnaldum stuff is dragging on. I'm just wondering. What is the long-term thing here? Because, Augie, when you and I talked about it, you're like, well, yeah, the front three are all making a lot of money and getting older, and they're all the same age, annoyingly. But, you can just sell Salah for 80 million or Mane for 80 million. We talked about it. That ain't going to happen now.
No.
These three guys are going to stick around, yeah? So what happens?
Yep. Well, look, we have to say the caveat is if they miss out on the top four, they could still win the Champions League, which is not beyond Liverpool's abilities and their history. They tend to pull it out of the fire more than once. They have a problem. They have a problem because the front three are getting on in years. Salah doesn't look overly happy. We keep hearing noises coming out of the Salah camp from Salah himself that, his future's up to Liverpool. And you do wonder whether Salah is beginning to think of options abroad. I mean, we keep hearing Mbappe, don't we, for Liverpool, which just doesn't stack up whatsoever.
Who keeps saying this? Right I'm really curious. I'm really curious. Can we name names? No, honestly, because I'm all for wild rumors.
No, but I know that it's a club that he would like to play for.
Right.
Okay.
Not in the Europa League.
Not in the Europa League. And two, I don't think they don't have the cash to afford him anywhere right now.
This is one of these myths that comes about because Liverpool have got a Nike kit and Mbappe wears Nike that it will have these sports manufacturer deals. They never seem to come off. And I must have the Mbappe to Liverpool thing has been, I think it's been bubbling away for over a year now, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have no logic in terms of the finances, in terms of the other options that Mbappe would have at his disposal. That he could go wherever he wanted to. He could earn more money elsewhere. PSG could get a bigger fee elsewhere. It'd be a great signing, be a fantastic replacement for Salah, and Salah to PSG, Mbappe to Liverpool, all kind of makes sense in a kind of fantasy football kind of way. But why would Mbappe want to go to Liverpool when they look like they're a club that might just be about to go through a transition and a rebuild?
Maybe he wants to be part of the rebuild. I mean, I got to go back to one point about Klopp. Is Klopp extended his contract to 2024, right? Which means that he will necessarily be part of the rebuild.
Yeah.
He necessarily there's no way he can keep this team together till then, right? And that is a big commitment from Klopp. So I'm just wondering whether they shouldn't have moved towards the rebuild last summer, made that step. And maybe the pandemic, maybe a million different things.
Yeah.
And also it's tough to, as you and I know, Mark, when we did the Liverpool keeper jump, it's tough to go to somebody and say like, okay, Jordan Henderson, well, the numbers here say that you're 32 and blah, blah, blah. So let's, it doesn't work that way.
But you talk about Klopp though, Gab. I mean, do we think that he will still be there in 3 years' time in the current situation where he's having to chase, he's having to rebuild, he's getting quite grumpy on the touchline with television reporters? Does it really look that he'll be there in front of
Are you suggesting that Klopp is going to resign or might resign?
No, I'm saying
I don't think he will resign, and I certainly don't think he's going to be sacked. So I assume.
Listen, I don't think he's going to resign at all, not at the moment. But we know that managers and coaches have a shelf life. It takes a lot out of them, this job. I just think he's been there 5 years now, another 3 years. It's a draining, emotional job, especially at Liverpool where there's so much emotion attached to it. Let's just be a bit realistic that in 2024 when his contract expires, it's probably, I'd say it's 50-50 that he's there when his contract expires.
I don't know.
How difficult a rebuild is it? Because if you can't rebuild with players from Preston. No offense to Preston, but Ben Davies
absolutely
is he's a squad member, he's a squad player, he's 2 million. But you can't rebuild a super competitive team with players from Preston.
Look, I think it's early to talk about
2 million.
Okay, so I think it's early to talk about rebuild right now. But,
yeah, but
when we do
how
talk,
would it be?
Okay, when we do talk about, I mean, and this is the exercise that Mark and I played last summer, but. Effectively, right? If you look at this, if you project 2-3 years down the line, three of the back four you should be fine age-wise, assuming they'll come back from injury or whatever. Alisson's fine, as long as he doesn't play like he did this weekend. You have Fabinho, Curtis Jones. It's a decent starting point in midfield. You need to think about adding another guy, maybe, or unless Naby Keita comes good. But we've been waiting for that bus for a long time. Up front, you have Jota. You can maybe coax one of the other three guys to continue being productive later. Firmino's one guy I would imagine could be productive, into when he's 32, 33. So I don't think it's necessarily
you don't think
enormous.
You need loads of money to rebuild this squad.
You need money. Of course, you need money. You need money. You need some money. But again, the post-pandemic economy is going to be different. We check around these 70 million, 100 million. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much they exaggerate losses or whatever. But you talk to people and they say, look at this last transfer market. This summer's going to be the same. We might not have a 100 million euro footballer for another 10 years. I mean, that's what some people are saying. So that remains to be seen.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.